Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men and women, and other aliens of all things, welcome back to the 42 podcast, which I believe this is episode number 25. I mean, look, I'm
That's
looking.
like
We've
halfway. What?
We've been at it for a while.
That's
Yes,
like
this
two
will
and a
be
half.
episode 25.
Yeah, we're almost triple legit.
You're almost triple legit. That's right.
What's up?
We apologize for coming to you a bit late. Life and other things have been happening.
This guy.
Yesterday was me, so...
Well, that guy. He drank too much the night before.
No.
He's like, I'm getting a night off from podcasting. I'm gonna put him down. I'm gonna drink a
No,
few.
if I was going to do that, I definitely would have been podcasting.
Right.
Because that would have been fun. No, it was the worst thing, right? So, like, I wake up, and it was a Monday morning, which normally you feel pretty shitty on a Monday morning, but I actually woke up, felt pretty good. And, like, so I get ready for work, and I leave, like, right before I leave the house, I start getting this little bit of a headache. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I pop some ibuprofen, walk out the door. By the time I get to the office, it's a full-blown migraine. Just terrible. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I just need to wait for the ibuprofen to kick in. And then I go throw up.
Oh,
Right. Which is never fun to do at work, especially. And so I'm like,
No.
okay, and I felt a little bit better. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's just a bad morning, something, maybe, I don't know, maybe something weird happened, right? So about 20 minutes later, it happens again. So my boss hadn't even made it into work yet. So I
your
sent
head
him,
still hurts?
huh?
So you're throwing up and your head still hurts?
It's because of the head that yeah.
Oh, those are the worst, dude.
And so, like, my boss is even in yet. I email him. I'm like running to my car, to throw up in the bushes on the way to my car. Managed to make it home, and that happens for every 20 to 30 minutes for the next 3.5 hours.
It's just
it
like a
was
tunnel of pain.
Terrible. You're just like doing everything you can, like trying to get that perfect position while you're trying to because if you can just fall asleep, it'll
You're
be
asking
okay.
your wife where the gun's at? Where do we keep the gun? She's like, we don't own one. You're like, are you sure? Could you go and buy me one?
I actually do know where the gun is, but that's beside the point. But it was so rough, and it just, if anyone suffers from migraines, you know how bad it is. That just intense pain that just won't go away. Nothing you do can save you. It's just throbbing. Like I was about 20 minutes away from telling my wife, calling her, like, come home from work and take me to the hospital. Like I was at that point yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was in rough shape. And I don't know why either. As the thing is, like, I didn't drink a drop on Sundays. Like, so it's not like I'm hungover. I'm not, like, and like I said, I felt really good when I woke up. I have no idea where it came from.
You think it was dehydration?
I don't think so. I mean,
What made it go away?
I eventually managed to fall asleep for a little bit, and that was enough to quell it. And so, I was able to get some food in me, some more ibuprofen. I could actually keep it down, keep the meds down for a while. So I guess that's
Maybe you hate your job.
Well, there's definitely that.
Maybe your body was just in like total rejection mode. You're like, do anything. It's like one of those Pixar movies. They're like, push the red button. They're like, no, boss, don't do it. He's like, push the red button. We don't want to go.
Perhaps.
That
How have you
guy-
been, buddy?
guy-
How are
that
things
guy in the
going?
white shirt. What?
How are things going with you?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh man, I had one of those weekends where it was just busy. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that wasn't a weekend at all. That sucked. I even took Monday off, and I still didn't get a weekend.
That's
It's
terrible.
not working out. I'm hopefully though, next weekend should be the shit. So
Oh,
here's to next weekend.
I don't have a lot going next weekend, but weekend after that, I'm going to Gen Con in Indianapolis, so that'll be fun.
So anybody who's part of the game drink, he mentioned a con.
Very true, very true. Yeah, so I got a buddy who's flying in he's going to Gen Con, and he's going to come hang out in Pittsburgh for a couple of days.
Nice.
It'd be the first time I'm ever going to like a strictly gamer con, so I'm interested to see
What
how-
is Gen Con. Like when you say that, what do you mean? Like what is
Gen
it exactly?
Con is a convention that was started by Garrett Gygax, who's the guy who created D&D.
No
Yeah,
shit.
it's the tabletop convention in the country.
Really?
Yeah. Like we
That
were
sounds fun then.
Yeah, we were thinking about playing cuz you can play all day every day, but we're only going to me and my wife are only going to be there at the con itself for a day. So I think we're just going to hang out on the floor and
Yeah.
see the new games because like all the new guys are bringing out their new games. So we may pick up some new like card games and stuff, and maybe
That's
some minis
awesome.
because I'm in desperate need of some minis for
Minis.
like the miniature figures for like Dungeons and Dragons. So you like if you're like the
Yeah,
little
yeah.
guys, yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who just use Legos and they just make their Legos look like their character. It's just not a bad way to go, and they're super cheap
That is kind of
because
cool.
miniatures can be expensive, like 20 to 30 bucks without the paint.
How does it work? Like, what is it? Is it sold by D&D or is it somebody that's creating something? You're exposing me to a whole new world. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's all the above. Some people make them. Yeah, I know Wizards of the Coast makes some. They'll make special ones for each. They'll make like variety packs, so you kind of don't know what you're getting for each new campaign and
Is
stuff
it
like
made
that.
out of like pewter?
Yeah, it's pewter. It's generally pewter. I thought about because 3D printing is getting kind of cheap now. Like you can do it online, so I've been thinking about like 3D printing my
I went to
own.
Micro Center. We have a Micro Center here in Houston.
Oh yeah,
They had more than one option for 3D printing.
yeah. Some of them, some of the consumer ones are getting down to like 400 or 500 bucks.
Yeah, that's where we were at, $5,000 to $1,000. It was really interesting. They had a couple of them like spitting out like I want to say like impossible geometric like shapes, but they're not impossible. They're just
Funky.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just these gears that are shaped in such a way that you can twist them, but I don't know. I can't explain it.
At the
It was just a
best,
bunch of gears put together in a weird way.
I don't remember the price, but the Best Buy here in well, the one we go to here in Pittsburgh, they had this one set up with a camera setup.
Like you'll only have one.
You're right, but the one we go to, they have this camera tent thing set up, so you can put something on it and it'll read it, and then it can print it.
Wow.
So
Like a
that
3D scanner?
yeah, it was really cool.
I just want everybody to drink. It's the future.
It's
All
the
right, drink.
future.
Drink.
Okay, speaking of the future, have you seen this new Chrysler vulnerability that the hackers exposed?
With the Jeep?
Yes.
I just saw the internet talking about it.
Okay,
What
so
actually is going on?
because now Wi-Fi in cars is a big deal, right? Chrysler has it, GM has it.
What is Wi-Fi in a car? Let's
Uh,
just start there. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean that I'm paying for some like cell service connected to my car that allows me to connect to the internet through a
yes,
car-based Wi-Fi system?
correct.
Seems expensive, right?
I don't know what it cost is, but it's been the big new thing. And Chrysler uses the Sprint network for their cars, and
Sure.
some hackers figured out how to take over vehicles over the Wi-Fi. Apparently, somebody wrecked a Jeep from 10 miles away. Just like poof, flipped it off the road, and they can take complete
Wait,
control
I have a
over.
hard time believing that they would have servos connected to the steering.
Maybe they
Wait,
just locked it.
maybe it's electronic steering.
Yeah.
That seems like a vulnerability.
Yeah, it seems like something they would have thought about, but it's like they should
No,
have
it
seen
doesn't.
this
Why would they have thought about that? They're a bunch
the
of 60-year-old.
It's true.
They hardly know what the internet is.
It's true.
Have
But
you seen the technology in cars?
oh,
The
it's
only one that's got modern day technology, like modern day, like real actually. Because I mean, what's modern? Last 2.5 years, 3 years, really. You know what's modern and modern. I'm saying that a lot. But back in the day, it was 10 years. 10 years at a time was modern, right? Like if you had a 1991 Civic and it was 1999, it wasn't that old.
right, right.
But now, if you've got a phone that's what 2 years old, it feels like a dinosaur.
It can, yeah.
Just 2 years old. I went from a Note 3, which was the flagship 2 years ago, right, to the S6, and I'm like, wow. it's not completely different. I won't say that, but it is way nicer. It's just way smoother, way better. So I don't know.
Well, it's the TikTok pattern of the especially new technologies. It's TikTok is what IBM referred to when they were making no Intel when they were making chips. So if you think about cell phone, especially the iPhone, they have a big tick, which is the new big number, right? And then the talk is like the 6S or the 5S, and then the tick
Right.
is the 6. And so every 2 years you get a big tick. And that's when technology advances, especially in like cells.
What did you bring up about the future though to begin with this conversation?
The fact that they're hacking
Oh, they're
cars.
hacking cars. What about that though? What do you think of
They
it?
can like it's proof that if you connect something to the internet, someone else can get to you. It's a it's a car. How do you know that that cell signal goes to a car? You know, and then you have to figure out how to hack into the system, and then how to figure out then you have to figure out how to exactly tweak the program to do what you want to do. Unless you maybe they had an inside guy who could get a hold of the program who knew how to control everything. But there's so much that goes into it, and these people are just doing it for funsies. That's the
Oh
scary
yeah.
part.
My rant earlier was about modern. We were
Yes.
talking about how modern, like the only actual modern day car is the Tesla. Everything else is 10 years, 15 years old. It feels like, right? Like at least 5 years old, which is old for modern day technology.
Yeah, I
So I
can
don't
see
know.
that.
They're implementing something that's probably 10 years old, which people are like, oh, we can Google how to do this. Like this probably wasn't even that difficult. It just required a little bit of persistence. You know, the ones that are impressive is like when like the new S6 comes out and they jailbreak it in 2 weeks or a week.
Well,
It's like, what were you doing? They were like, we were just pressing buttons until shit happened. We were just drinking Red Bulls and pressing buttons. And then as soon as something happened that wasn't supposed to,
you
we knew we were
just
in.
exploit it.
We knew we were in. We were just gonna pound that in until yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to remember, but there was someone figured out how to sideload games into a 3DS because there was one game in particular that had a glitch that if you exploited it, it would open up the entire architecture for the 3DS, and you could install like Android, have it running full Android and Android apps and stuff.
I don't think any system is perfect.
No, no system is perfect.
Isn't that a weird concept that everything is crackable? Like they beat the Enigma.
Yeah,
I don't know.
if you spend enough time and are faster than the people who are fixing it, right? Because that's the thing is,
Some things have to be perfectly secure though, like right? Like cracking a Bitcoin like account is nearly impossible. They said it would require a computer about the size of the moon.
well, cracking like the hash is, but cracking into the accounts is easy. You know,
Right. I guess it's the more complicated versions of the internet that have exploits.
well, I mean everything has
Like
an
breaking
X.
simple encryptions like for, you know, if you just want to keep like a megabyte worth of data encrypted, that's probably pretty easy. If
Yeah,
you want to keep the internet encrypted and secure, that's probably a lot more difficult
it's probably a lot more difficult,
because everything's just patched on top of each other. I guess that makes some sense when you know think about it, right?
and that's why a lot of companies have hackathons. And
Yeah, isn't that a great idea?
well,
They're
in
like, look, we'll give you 20 grand for the first person who can get through this new Chrome extension or whatever.
when I want to say it was Microsoft or Apple, somebody when they were developing one of their new softwares, they was like, for every bug you find, it's $100,000. Like for every vulnerability.
What is like what is the basic concept of exposing into vulnerability? Like what would I do? Do I literally just click on stuff?
Part of it, and part of it is, you know, these, especially open source things, you can read the code. So you can just get in there and look, and if you know what you're looking for, it just pops out at you. It's like, oh, right there, that's an issue. Some people figured out all sorts of just weird hacks
But
that,
what do you think that is? Is you think it's just like a brute force attack?
Some of it, what happens a lot of times is they figure out something the system wasn't designed to handle. And depending on how the error code is written, it just pops the system wide open.
Can you believe we do that?
Yeah.
This is a real thing. These are things that people do.
I mean, it's just kind of like when I was young and I figured out how to change the colors of the uniforms in my like football games because I found the JPEG files hidden somewhere. And some people just never quit doing that.
That's the version of the hacker I love the best. Is that Steve Wozniak hacker, the guy who in the 80s was discovering things back before they even like knew to make it secure. And then they made it secure, and he's like, "Well, I just have to get through this one little security thing. Like, how could I do that?" And then they get, he just keeps up with the times. Those the original version of the hackers.
Right. Sort of like the guy, Captain Crunch with the whistle, figuring out that he can exploit the long distance system by using a whistle.
There's all kinds of people who are into that.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole world of what they call freakers, like PHEARK, right? Like freak, like with a
Right.
PH. Yeah, REAK, whatever. But anyway, there was a story in Rolling Stones, I think it was, where a blind kid found that, because he lived with his grandmother or whatever, and he would just listen to the dial tones, and he got to the point where he could hear the background noise of the actual system doing its stuff. So like when the routers would switch him over to different lines, he could hear the clicks and stuff, or he could hear the different tones that they were using. And he just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper into the phone system until he found so they've had the phone system for so long, and it's been built on itself for so long that there are phone numbers and lines that they've kind of forgotten about, like these abandoned lines, like party lines. And it might be some ancient 1-800 number to you see if you won a Nickelodeon prize that just never got canceled and it never gets billed. It just kind of got forgot. And it maybe the recording's gotten so quiet or is gone, missing, and people can call that number and then they can hear other people talking on that number because they find these broken parts of the phone system, like the ancient internet. Man, I read the story and they were talking about the crazy things they do on this world where it's just a world of 4chan. It reminds me of 4chan people because it's a bunch of party lines that are dedicated to sex chat and these chicks that are desperate for attention that go on here and talk to these guys dirty and right. Well, whatever, right? And then these other lines of people pranking each other and talking shit, like flame wars. Anyway, the culmination of the story is the kid ends up being one of the best freaks ever. He could do things in this. They go on fishing. They go fishing is what they call, where they call different companies and act like representatives or customers and try to get a little bit of information, and then they'll hang up and then they'll use that information to get a little bit further into the system, to the point where they'll have an employee number and an employee ID number and passwords and stuff into deep into Comcast or AT&T, and then they pass this information around to each other and they all use it to do just ridiculous things. I don't know. It's a crazy world out there.
It is a
If y'all
crazy
people
one.
haven't, if y'all haven't looked into this, check it out. Phone freaking. Check out the story about the blind kid that freaks. Yeah, something like that. You'll love it. It's a great story.
Yeah, it's just insane what people do for free, just for funsies.
For funsies.
that's
I
the
don't know if
scary
it's
part.
a funsies. I think it's a genetic trait. They're part of the superorganism that's supposed to do that. If you look at human beings as one system, we need workers, we need tech support, we need, you know what I mean? There's a certain genetic code that's in human beings they're just crackers, they're hackers, they're gonna break things down, they're gonna find vulnerabilities. It expresses its way in all kinds of, it expresses itself in all kinds of ways. But one of the most fun and interesting ways to me is the people who do it to computers and phones. I love those kind of people. But there's people who do it to hot rods and cars, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
yeah. It's just a
yeah,
different form of hacking
it's a
for
human
sure.
being just require. It's like what? Well, what if we? I know I was told I was supposed to use it this way,
But what
but I'm
if?
pretty sure if we doubled the voltage, we could get. What if we put? And it's just yeah.
So you want to hear something fun about the future?
No,
No.
I'm lying. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is out of these people at Oregon State, right? There's this type of algae like seaweed called
Oh,
dulse,
I've heard about this.
and they figured out a way to farm it because
Okay.
originally it's been sold at $90 a pound when dried, so it's pretty expensive. But they've developed
Like
a new way, a strain to actually farm it and grow it in bulk, and so it's twice as nutritious as kale. 16 grams of protein, and when cooked, tastes like bacon.
Okay, so I haven't read anything. I just saw the internet blew up about bacon seaweed.
Uh huh.
I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll get to this eventually. If it comes to fruition, because the internet's promised me like super batteries and super internet,
It's
and
like I'm
super
reading this
shit all
up
the
on the
time.
Oregon State website right now. It's like they
It's
like
legit. It's gonna be a thing. We're gonna see this in
this guy
supermarkets.
from
We're
like
gonna
the
start buying
biology
this.
department had figured it out, and he called up the business department. He's like, "Hey, I've got this product. I'm not sure what to do with it. Maybe you can figure something out for a student project. Maybe they can do some case studies or something." And so they gave it to some chefs in Portland to see if they could make something tasty. And they started cooking it up, and they realized it tastes like bacon.
But is it bacon?
It's
Can I
not
put
bacon.
it on Can I put it on a burger and will I get that crunch
I don't. Maybe if you fried it.
and that satisfaction of like
I mean,
shortening my life by like a week or two?
no, you'll never get that. But
Damn it! That's the best part of bacon. That's why
it's,
we eat it. It's like, it's like a cigarette in meat form. Oh, it's horrible for me, and I love it.
so yeah, that's coming. That's coming.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? I'd eat it because kale tastes like shit. If anyone's ever eaten kale,
I'm just ready for him to use it in sushi.
and so yeah, yeah,
Hey, I'm looking out for y'all, nerds.
something
Gonna
highly
get bacon
nutritious
flavored
that tastes
sushi.
good. Fuck yeah, sign me up.
I'm in.
Oh, do you see what GoPro is doing?
With the Fallout? Or
No.
with what? What were we?
What they're doing is they're setting up a site so users who use the GoPros can upload their videos, and then companies can then license the videos to use in advertisings and other things. So that the amateurs who are using the GoPros can receive royalties from licensing their video through GoPro to companies.
What does that mean? You kind of lost me somewhere in like towards the end.
Okay, so you have a GoPro.
Yes, I do. I'm with you so far.
Okay, so you have a GoPro and you take some footage. That's awesome.
Right? I've done that.
Whatever. How, it's on your drone or whatever. And so GoPro is setting up a site that you can
Yes.
upload your videos to,
With you so far.
and then other companies, so like advertising companies or people who want to use that footage in a commercial, can buy the rights to your footage through the licensing site, and you will receive royalties every time it's used.
Oh, that makes more sense. Okay, so it's like Facebook, but I'm getting paid for it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I like it.
Videos start at $1,000 a piece, and the term of the license is 6 months. So they get to use your video for 6 months for $1,000 for a video. So if you're really prolific and doing some great stuff, you could be making $20,000-$30,000 every 6 months.
Do you think this is one of those examples though? If it was good enough to actually make it in like a production, it's worth way more than that.
It could be.
Aren't commercials like if you get like footage in a commercial, can't it be worth like 20 grand?
Well, it depends on how they want to use it, and it's also one of those things where maybe this is just a good place for people to find it, and if they really like it and they really like you, they can just be like, hey, contact you directly, say, hey, I saw your stuff on GoPro, Let's talk some business.
I, I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like this might be like people are going to get taken advantage of. No? I guess it's an opportunity to get your name out there, and any opportunity like that's good.
Exactly, and you
So
know you can, and it's an opportunity that people haven't had before. It's a more direct communication directly to the people you want to sell your videos to. Because right now the licenses are $1,000 for 6 months, but what if they want it in perpetuity? You could talk to them directly about a different licensing deal. So I think it's a really good way to open the door to the talks. And for some people, you know, it's $1,000. Boof. Here you go. You
that's
made an
true.
awesome video that one time. Here's $1,000. Keep doing it.
I maybe the value of stuff. Maybe I don't know. This could be just donor talk. But maybe the actual value of the entire universe now that information is being able to be traded so quickly and back and forth. You know, like the future's here. Maybe the value of certain things is going to just be readjusted by a lot. Maybe videos like that aren't worth 20 grand anymore. Because,
Well,
you know,
everyone's making them.
right. Maybe they're worth $1,000.
I mean,
That's an interesting idea.
how many awesome GoPro videos can you find on YouTube right now? 100,000?
All of them. It seems
Million?
like. Yeah, yeah.
You know, so the more a product is built, the less valuable it becomes. And it's basic supply and demand.
I don't know. I don't have anything yet that would be useful for the internet. For damn it, for advertising. Well, I don't know why I got stuck in entertainment. I'm trying to log into the stupid Slack stuff and talk to you, and it's just not working.
See what you got to do is like every time you take one of these videos, just take a picture of a Red Bull can before you start doing it. And just try to sell to Red Bull. I actually saw this really interesting article about how either I don't remember which way it was, but either GoPro should buy Red Bull or Red Bull should buy GoPro, since they do so much together in terms of advertising. That it would
Oh,
make more sense for them just to be together and create the product and use their streams to create better products
yeah,
instead
that
of
is.
buy. It actually made a pretty good point. I thought it was pretty good.
That's pretty good. That reminds me. So one of the best examples that, like one of the first, I don't know, one of the first times I really realized how much corporations have, like how much money and power they actually have, is during Shaun White when is that his name?
Yeah,
Who's the Flying Tomato? Shaun White?
Sean White.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when he was doing the Olympics and they were working and he was working with Red Bull to trying to get the gold medal or whatever,
Right.
and Red Bull built him that super pipe secluded off in the mountains of like Colorado or whatever. You had to use a helicopter to get to it, and it was this giant, you know, super pipe, and it was this private thing. And there's this video of Shaun White talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, we're just flying in the helicopter over the mountains, and there it is, just in the this rugged wilderness of the Colorado terrain." He goes, "There's this perfect, pristine." Super pipe with the lights and the rig, like the thing that makes the super pipe, the big,
Right. Yeah.
what is that, like tractor, I guess you'd call it, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever.
All of that, and he lands and he gets to do his own super session. And that scene where he flies around and they show you the super pipe for the first time and you realize it's just for Shaun White, just for him to practice by himself so nobody can see what he's working on. It was when he was working on that, what was he working on, that crazy trick he did in the X Games,
The
like
back to back
1260,
12s.
1260 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was back to back 12s.
Yeah, so when he was working on that, they wanted to be able to, nobody could see it or whatever. It was when they come around that corner, I was watching that video and I was like, "Oh, this is what it's like to be like a super corporation. This is just Red Bull. Imagine what Google could do. Like if you were like this like evil corporation that wanted to like really flex your muscles, like this is what Red Bull's doing with their extra money. What is Google doing?" You know what I mean? This idea of like, oh my God, they can do this extra, they can do this kind of crazy shit. Like they have this much disposable income. Isn't that ridiculous to you?
The Red Bull stuff, not really,
Really?
because you can make so many great promotional videos. It's part of advertising. It's a lot of money, but for a company like Red Bull, it's not that much money. People, we throw around, especially if you follow politics at all, we throw around the word trillion a lot.
Yeah, but
No, no,
it
no, no,
stops
just let me
making
go.
sense past a billion.
Right. But we've lost just the idea of just how much money $1 billion is. It's an insane amount of money. Because now you have, 24-year-olds who are worth like $3 billion. Like, oh, it's not that much money. If you had $3 billion, you could put it all in the bank and make $150 million a year on interest alone and never spend a dime of the principal. It's so much money. So much money. Oh, I think I'm about to
Uh,
lose you.
no, don't lose me, Jacob. I love you, Jacob.
Okay, we're good. Yes, no more
Okay,
internet
good.
problems. Skype is being stupid. And so a company that has $10 billion, that super pipe was probably only $250,000 plus. Maybe that whole video shoot, 500,000, maybe $1 million, which is 1/1000th of a billion.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
We've lost, especially in
It just
terms
seemed ridiculous.
uh, with we've lost the scale of money uh, in recent years because the human mind can't process $1 billion, like a $1 trillion. It just can't do it. It's so much we cannot do it.
I can't do it. I have no idea. Like, am I? We still communicating? Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So, have you seen the video where the guy tries to explain what $1 billion is like?
I've seen something of it.
Where he does like this is a one, and this is one with the zero. It's 10, and then he puts another zero. This is 100. This is 1,000, and then he tries to he puts enough zeros to give you. Oh no! What he does is he does it in just zeros. So like 1 0, and then he does. If we copy and paste this, we get to 10 zeros, and if we copy and paste this, we get 100 zeros, right? And he goes, let's have 1,000,000 zeros, and he does it where he's got 1,000,000 zeros. So it's like just page after page of zeros, right? He goes, let's do 1,000,000,000 zeros. And at this point, he's got like 1,000,000,000 zeros. Like it's just pages. He's like, all right. So if we highlight this, this is about 1,000,000 zero. This is about 100,000 zeros, right? Like this is like a page worth or whatever. He goes, let's just delete it. Delete. He goes, let's see. Can we notice a difference? And he starts scrolling, and he scrolls for like a minute, and he's like, no, you can't. He goes, what if I just start deleting 100,000 at a time? 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000, right? He just pushes it like 50 times, and then he scrolls. He's like, can you tell now? No, you can't. You really can't. So he's like, what if I just bought everybody I know a Ferrari? A Ferrari. What are those? 300 grand? And he highlights, like 300. He just starts pushing the button. But he's like, you can't tell a dent. He's like, that's how much money $1 billion is. So it's a crazy video.
It's a crazy video. And you know what? The LA Clippers cost $2 billion. And they're not even that great of a. I don't even. Could you imagine buying the Yankees right now? $5 billion, $10 billion? And that's just for a sports team.
No, I don't understand. It seems like Elon Musk is almost saving the world or trying to, and he's only worth $10 billion. It's like you can do that much with $10 billion. Why isn't Bill Gates doing more? Because everybody thinks of Bill Gates of giving all of his money to charity and trying to fix the world and malaria and all these different problems. It's like, why aren't you doing what Elon Musk is doing if you've got what, roughly 8 times the money?
Oh, it's not 8 times. Four
I thought
times.
Elon Musk was worth 10 and Bill Gates was worth 80.
I don't think so. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just how they're going about it in different ways. One's trying to work it on, and in a lot of what Gates is doing is medical research, which is really expensive.
That is true. That is true.
But it's so much money. Like the people, you're not rich anymore if you only have $100 million. Yes, you are, but in today's society, you're like, what? No, billions the new million kind of deal.
Yeah, if you want to be, part of the upper echelon, you need to be in the billionaire club.
So for what it's worth, I'll take $100 million right now and never say another word.
For what it's worth, if you give me $1 million, I would do all kinds of sexual favors.
a
Just
million,
whatever you wanted.
$1 million isn't enough to quit working. That's the problem.
But it's enough to start working for yourself.
It's enough to start working for yourself. Um,
It also can reduce a lot of stress.
oh yeah. I mean, if I was given $1 million, my life day to day would not change very much. I'd still go into the office. Well, maybe I wouldn't still go in the office. Maybe I would start my own company. But even then, but I would pay off my student debt, buy two nice but not overly extravagant cars, like two Rexes
Right.
for me and the missus,
Yes.
100K on
$30,000.
tops on cars kind of deal.
Yeah. Combined.
And the rest goes into the bank, and
Yes.
just so you have it for retirement.
No. No, it's time to flex some of this mental muscle that we have and make some dough with that cash. It takes money to make money.
It does take money.
How do you make a small fortune?
Start with a smaller fortune?
Yeah. Start with a large fortune. I'm losing you. Internet.
Oh
sound like me.
no.
Do I sound like...
I'm getting the robot voice. Oh no. Oh no. You there? Hello? I think I might have lost Ryan. Here, listen to some music while I play some things for you. Yeah, we lost him. Here you go. This is No Control by Fight Dragons. Yes, we're back.
Hey, I made it.
Yay.
Love y'all.
Okay. So anyway, money is a crazy thing.
Yeah. What'd you do? Treat him to a nice song or something?
Yeah, s1e25 dragons, you know. And I have to apologize.
Nice.
I haven't had some Super Nerd Sixers recently. That's my fault.
Come on, that's our bread and butter.
I
That's the
know.
reason people even listen to us.
I know, and there probably won't be one this week unless I can figure out something to do tomorrow. It's just with everything else that's been going on, I just haven't had the chance. And plus, it's been really hard with. There's not that many artists and I'm still waiting for some of these people to get back to me, and so I'm running out of good music to play
Oh
right
no!
now.
Oh no!
But and it's also like my D&D schedule got screwed up, and so I've been going multiple weeks in a row, and plus I've with the stuff we have going on that we foreshadowed in the last episode, my brain power just shot at the end of the week. I'm just like trying to do all that and figure out everything else that's going on. I just can't do it. Just leave me alone.
Leave me alone. It only could do so much.
So I'm sorry, but I promise you, if you're a loyal fan and you like graphic like novels and other like novels, you'll be okay with it. I
If you like the
promise.
stuff we talk about, you might enjoy what we're working on.
Because it's cool. It's really cool.
It's kind of cool. We might be biased though, so. But you won't know that until you've already paid us for it. So hey, it's okay.
Yes, yes. So I've been trying to figure out Patreon and Amazon and Comixology and websites. Not to mention writing this damn thing.
We're yeah, we're working on it.
We're working on it. But we love you. We're doing it all for you and the money. Don't forget about the money.
Okay, so like half you, half us. Seems like a fair deal.
But the thing is if we get enough money, we can do this podcast a lot more and other podcasts and more cool things and giveaways and interviews and go to Comic-Con and
Would be better than He's like Comic-Con. Drink. We
Drink.
Comic-Con. Get on it. This all could happen in the future. Drink. Get on it.
one of these days we're going to do this like we're going to do another Friday night cast and play the drinking game while we're casting.
While we're see how bad it actually is.
Yes. You just like
See
get
what
a
else we need to add to make it worse.
of your favorite liquor. It's like every time shot, like for realsies.
I like a good rum.
Never been a fan of the rum.
Really?
Yeah.
You ever tried like a good aged rum though?
It's been a while. It's probably one of those things I should come back to. Like I used to not like bourbon, but now I love bourbon. So I don't know.
How much is bourbon?
Well, you can pay. It's kind of like anything.
Right.
Like I like bullet bourbon.
Bullet? Like
Bullet.
you got a gun?
Yeah, but it's Bulluet, I think, but it's pronounced bullet. And it's like for a big bottle, not the 750, but like the 1.5, I guess.
Hey, what's up?
It's like $60.
Oh. Well, that's about right, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's about right.
it's about the same. It's a little bit more expensive than Jameson. Probably about $10 more expensive than Jameson. But I'm also living here in PA where our liquor laws are really fucked up.
That's true, we've talked about that.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, I've actually been drinking, well, the wife drinks Sailor Jerry's. Just that good spice. It's a good spice rum.
Yep.
But I've been slowly going through all the different aged rums that are not spice, just a basic rum.
Right.
You can pay some money on those, but some of those are worth it.
Oh,
The,
you can definitely pay some money.
well, not like you can with
Like a good scotch.
yeah, scotch. Gosh damn, dude, I went to try to buy a friend like a bottle of scotch. I was like, I don't think he's worth $250. Like, what's
No,
going
no, no.
on here?
No, no. If you need a Scotch recommendation, give me a holler. I can give you a good because you can get a good Scotch for $60. You can get a
Can you?
pretty yeah. Oh yeah.
Scotch is one of those you can almost drink straight, like
No,
fairly easy. Like a good Scotch, you can
a
just
good Scotch. If you put anything in it, I will come over and slap you because you deserve it, you asshole.
yeah.
Like
No, that's
it's like steak. Like you go to a good steak place. I'm like, would you like anything? You know, some sauce. I'm like, if it's cooked right, I don't need a damn thing, woman.
true. It's like that King of the Hill episode where he's like, "How do we, what are you doing?" And he's cooking the steaks. He asks the dad was talking to the son. He's like, "Yeah, we eat ours here medium rare or medium well, yeah, medium rare, right?" And he goes, "Well, what happens if somebody asks for it well done?" He goes, "We politely but firmly ask them to leave."
Yep. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Because we were living at Tulsa. My wife worked at a liquor store, and the owner of the
Really?
liquor, yeah,
For
for a
what?
couple of
Did you ever
months.
get robbed?
No, no,
She had to
it
get
was
like what, at least 3 times a week, right?
it was one of the nice liquor stores in Tulsa.
Oh, like specs.
No, well, it was nicer but smaller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the owner of the liquor store was also a orthopedic surgeon or something, some rich doctor person, and he bought two 40-year Belvinis,
Wow, what does that mean? It sounds awesome.
10K a pop.
Ah, what is it? What's 10K a pop?
It's this bottle of 40-year-old aged scotch. Like this scotch has been aging in barrels for 40 years, longer than many people have been alive. It's just been sitting in some warehouse aging for decades.
So I was like 22, 23, and I was friends with a 19-year-old, right?
Right.
And he tells me when he was like a year ago, so he was 18 at the time. His friend comes downstairs. He's spending the night with his friend, and you know how you are in high school, you just drink like a whole bottle to have a good time. His dad had a 1942 bottle of scotch made in France or somewhere.
Scotland. Was it
No,
Scotch? Was it
no, I don't
was
think
a
it was
bottle of
scotch.
wine?
No, it wasn't scotch. It was like cognac or something. It was something made
Okay.
in France,
Okay.
but it was made in 1942. And at first when he told me, I was like, "Oh, that's cool. That seems really old. Like it would be awesome because liquor gets better." And then I was like, "Oh wait, from France in 1942, and y'all drank it? Like what was that worth?" Because I mean, right? Like, isn't that in the middle of World War II? Like they
Or
weren't making anything in World War II, were they?
like maybe it depends. I don't know exactly when France was invaded. It might have been right before the invasion. You know what would
They drank it. They opened it and drank it.
I would have murdered my children and I would have gotten off. No jury of my peers would have convicted me for that.
I was like,
That
oh
was
my.
probably a $50,000
I
bottle of
told him I was like a
booze.
conservative guess is 5 grand, but I wouldn't be surprised if you'd have taken the bottle in and gotten 10 grand for it. So I'm pretty sure if it was full of liquor and never opened, it was probably $100,000 bottle of liquor you drank. And he's like, "Well,
So,
it wasn't mine, and it was there, and they were drinking." So I was like, "Okay."
well, here's a tip for all you who might have teenagers one day. Have the liquor cabinet the kids know about, and the liquor cabinet the kids don't know about.
They might steal a little
Yeah, like,
bit. They might steal a lot.
like I said, no jury of his peers would have convicted him for murdering those children.
Yeah, you open a bottle of whatever it was like that. I guess it was cognac. I can't remember the actual what it was. This is 10 years ago. He was telling me the story. It's like I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god, you
You moron.
crazy kids.
I think the most expensive bottle of something I had was like a 10-year-old Dom.
What was
Dom.
that worth?
It was like $500.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that beats me. I had a $200 bottle of wine once.
Yeah, that's what the in-laws got me for my MBA graduation. Was it?
Really?
Yeah,
What was it? Like, what is Dawn?
Dom Perignon. It's champagne.
Yep. It. You age champagne, or
It's just, I mean, it's wine. I mean, it's just carbonated wine. It's pretty much all
was
it
it
is.
good or not really?
It was pretty good. I didn't understand, like, you can get, as in most things, the $50 version is almost as good as the $500. Like, you have to be so in sync with it to really see the difference between a $50, bottle of whatever and a $500
It's
bottle.
like I could have had a video card. Do you realize I could have used this for the next 3 years? I'm gonna open and drink half of it.
It's kind of like cigars. Like, I'm not a big aficionado, but I do know them a little bit.
Hmm.
And for the most part, you can drop $10 and have a really great cigar. Or you can drop $50 and have a really great cigar. Unless you're just toned into that world,
Yeah.
you really can't taste the difference. If you're like me, because I smoke 2, maybe 3 cigars a year kind of thing.
Year, right?
So I know what I like. I go pick it up. It's $10, $12 at the cigar shop, and I dig it. It's
I can't ever get into cigars, man. They seem pointless.
it's just a nice, good smoke. Just sit
Yeah, unless you
down.
put weed in them. I'm like, what are we doing?
But you smoke cigarettes all the time, man. It's just really
Yeah, but
big,
you
enjoyable.
yeah, but you actually get to smoke a cigarette. Like, there's a whole like action about, and it's a deep breath. I bet if people took 5 minutes to go outside and take deep breaths, they would feel better. They're like, I feel so much less stress. It's like you took deep breaths for 5 minutes. That's good for anybody. It's called meditation. You just happen to use a cigarette to do it.
It's very true. I do like cigars, but God, they reek. Like, it's one of those
They
things.
reek.
They reek. They
And I
smell.
feel like unless you get the nice ones, they leak. They get all oily, and
I've
that
not.
tobacco gets. Oh, that stuff can get so bitter.
I've never had that. Oh, I mean, the ones I generally buy about in that $10, $12 range.
Right.
Yeah, I've never really had that issue. I mean, it also depends on like which ones you're getting, because like some of them are very oily, and some people really like that about them.
Right.
It just depends on what you like and what you want and all that crap.
I
I
have
mean,
no idea.
it's just one of those things. There's like it's your preference. What do you like? Do you like red wine? Do you like white wine? Do you like fruity wine? Do you like dry wine? Do you like hoppy beer? Do you like malty beer? Do you like light beer?
No,
No.
on all of that. Yeah. No, I don't like any of that. So did you see that Japanese hotel? It's gonna be ran by robots.
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy balls.
That is awesome.
The stuff that
Like
they
that.
were showing reminded me of Fear and Loathing, like the pictures, like with the raptor and
The
shit.
Raptor.
I was like, oh, that's so Fear and Loathing.
Yeah, for people who don't know, the Japanese are gonna open a hotel that's gonna be, what is it, 90% ran by drones or
Something like
autonomous
that.
robots, right? Like they're gonna do the housekeeping and the delivering of,
Like
what is
room
that called?
service and stuff.
Room service, right? Where you order stuff from downstairs. Also, the people who check you in are those like hyper realistic animatronic Disney like robots. One of them's a pretty Japanese girl. The other one is a raptor. Like in a full bellhop or bell what are they called?
Bellhops.
Bellhop, like a full bellhop suit with the hat and stuff. It's awesome, man. I would love to just go there just to be checked in by the raptor. I think that'd be cool.
You know the line for the raptor is gonna be like 5 times longer than the one for the chick.
It's just crazy to think like we're getting there.
Ah, speaking of raptors, we gotta do
Um, uh,
our Jurassic World check.
oh yeah, it's made like 600 million in like 40 days or something, right?
Worldwide, 1.51 billion dollars.
I was way off. Like by a
600 million is what's made domestic. It's made
Wow.
900 worldwide. It's the 4th highest grossing movie of all time. And movies 4, 5, and 6 have been released since April of this year. Just wrap your head around that.
I wish there was a better way to quantify the actual popularity of a movie. Because it cost me like $90 to go to the movie theater now with me and my wife, compared to like $8 when I was a child. Couldn't they do it like
Well,
ticket sales, like how many tickets they sold?
this is what it is. This is this ticket. Oh, you mean like total like one ticket equals
Right.
one
Like
viewing? How many
how many
viewings?
people went and saw your fucking movie? Or even
How,
better yet, like what is the percentage of the population that went to go see your movie? Did you get like 5%? Like cuz what is the population percentage that went to see Star Wars? Like
it's a
I feel
good.
like we're not getting a really good representation of, maybe that doesn't work because people who go see it twice, they don't get counted. How does that work?
Well, no. It's ticket sale, so it's value of the ticket that was sold. But now there's all these gimmicky ways to inflate the ticket prices.
That's my point.
3D and I mean, if you want to adjust it for inflation, nothing.
But I don't think inflation is adjusted properly. Right? Like we discussed earlier, like they released the movie at Thursday at 6 p.m. now, and that's considered the opening weekend.
Well, but
And then
no, but this is worldwide gross, so that's long
but even
periods of time.
still, it's 3D, IMAX, it's all these other. At my movie theater, they have a moving seat. Like
Oh,
the
the
seat.
4D shit.
Is that what it's called? 4D?
Yeah.
That's like $60 for two people.
Okay. Well, here's the top 10, and I know we've talked about this before, but only two movies since 1980 are in the top 10 for adjusted for inflation highest grossing films, and those are Avatar and XET, and Star Wars is third.
Okay, but let me make this argument.
Mm-hmm.
2 years from now, how much will Jurassic Park be part of our culture?
Oh, it won't be.
Okay,
Yeah, I
how
mean,
much is Rocky part of our culture?
a
How many
lot.
people went and saw Rocky? How much did it change? Jaws. You
So
can't tell
you're
me that this
looking
Jurassic
for
Park
a metric to
popularity.
societal impact, a societal impact metric for movies.
Well, a better representation of how many people actually went and saw it. Because Jaws, everybody went and saw it. Everybody, my mom, every friend, everybody they knew went and saw it. Where now, half the people I know went and saw Jurassic Park, which is a big percentage, right? Like if say I have 10 friends and like 3 people go see, a new movie, that's an extremely popular movie in my circle of friends. Jurassic Park probably got 5 out of the whole 10, which is a really big percentage, or maybe even 7 out of the 10 of my friends, which is a really big percentage, which is reflected in the money they've made. But I feel like Jaws would have been 10 out of 10. Everybody went and saw it. You know what I mean? No?
Right. I know what you're getting at. And here's something. Actually, I just pulled something up. So Avatar is the second highest adjusted gross movie of all time. But 87. No, it's the 86th movie for most sold tickets.
That's what I think I'm interested in. Like it
Yeah.
seems like Titanic would be the one that had the most tickets sold. Because I know people who went and saw it like 12 times.
Yeah. Yeah, people are crazy.
Wasn't it in movie theaters for like a year and a half?
It was in the movie theater. I think it had the longest run in movie theaters ever. Well, I mean that's also hard to say because you have those art house cinemas like the Alamo.
Oh,
Uh,
well, the one that actually holds the actual record holder is Rocky Horror Picture Show.
is
It's
it
been in
right?
continuous play for 46 years or something. It's never gone out of.
Really?
Yeah. It's been in, whatever that is. It's never stopped being in a movie theater since it came out. But that's
Okay.
not really fair because it's a cult culture like
Right,
classic
and
movies
that's
like
how like
American
how do you
movies.
judge movie theaters and et
Yeah,
cetera,
but I
et
mean, it's
cetera.
in one of those where you pay to go ticket and you go sit in a movie theater. You know, it's been in an Alamo Draft House at midnight or
Right,
a
the
movie
midnight
drive-in.
showing.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
It's the longest running, like 46 years. Yeah.
speaking of Star Wars, so a
We weren't
couple,
speaking of Star Wars, but okay.
yes, but yes, speaking of movies, so I've been reading, like I said about what 3 or 4 weeks ago, I've been reading A Hero with a Thousand Faces.
Yeah. Which was the inspiration for Han Solo.
No, Star Wars in general.
Oh.
But the more I've been reading it, the more it's not the inspiration. He just ripped off straight plot points and puts, like, I kid you not, dude. So the first thing we
Like I
learned of,
was inspired to rewrite this book.
well,
I put it in space. Gosh damn it.
it's not because Hero of the Thousand Faces is a comparative literature book talking about how no matter where in the world things are written, the hero's journey has all these steps in common. And so, okay, so generally in the hero's journey, one of the first people you meet is the herald, who is the person who changes the hero's life. Who's one of the first people we meet in Star Wars? R2D2 and C3PO. They are the heralds. They're the one who brings the quest to Luke, right?
Yes.
Following me so far?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
If you're looking for agreement, I was just listening.
Okay. So secondly, so that happens. So you meet the herald, and then the hero has the opportunity to accept or reject the call. And there's two very different, but very common things that happen when the hero accepts or rejects. So Luke accepts the call. The next is the supernatural element. So almost always after the call is accepted, the first person they meet gives them the tool that they need to defeat the enemy at the end of the story. Who's the first person they go to after he gets C3PO and R2D2? Obi-Wan, who gives them the lightsaber and the Force.
Yeah, I guess that is what happened.
And then the next part, and this is where I'm at in the book right now. And granted, I'm only like 100 pages into the 600-page book. But the next one is the belly of the... Wait, no. There's two more pieces. There's the first tribulation, which is Mos Eisley, getting past the guards. And generally, the person they meet that gives them the thing follows the hero to help him out through his journey, which Obi-Wan does.
Right.
He helps them through the first tribulation, and then they go into the belly of the whale, which is something that the hero thinks will be good, but ends up being very bad, and feel like all is lost. And that is, they go from Mos Eisley into the Death Star.
Okay, right.
It's just beat for beat. And I don't know if I'm like proud for Lucas for ripping this shit off so thoroughly or building a great story around this idea. Because that's one reason why Star Wars is so universally loved, because it is every culture. Because the cool thing about this book is it shows excerpts from ancient stories from like Islam and American Indians and South America that all parallel each other, even though they had no way of interacting with each other.
Right.
And so I was just like, wow, you just ripped that shit straight off, didn't you? But that's one reason it's so universal. And he wrote great characters. Because, I mean, I couldn't write Star Wars. I couldn't write those great characters, even if I was following it so closely. So I don't know. Like, it's giving me all these really weird conflicted feelings about Star Wars. Episode 1, or Episode 4, I mean. A New Hope.
Right.
Because Empire and Jedi, those are different.
I think it's so there's a song called Four Chords. And it's sung by a band called Axis of Awesome. And they're a fairly popular kind of internet kind of nerd band, right?
Right.
But they sing this song which starts out with that Journey's that piano, it's
Right.
like dun, dun, dun. It's just the four chords being played on the piano, and the guy goes, "Hey, I know that song," and he's like, "Yeah, it's something by Journey," and he goes, "Oh yeah, and it's a few more." Let's go through them now. And they start singing, and it's like a 4-minute song where they use these 4 chords, and it's like almost every popular song ever, right? It's like Rod Stewart, Bob Marley, Michael Jackson. It's just like every extremely popular song has been this like 4 chords, and it's this an example. And a side note, on the internet, like on their YouTube channel, they have all of their songs, like all of their videos. Every video has like 20,000, 18,000, right? This one
Right.
has like 62 million. So there is something about these 4 chords that even the song itself that's making fun and it's showing an example of how 4 chords is like got this magic ability to like it's just popular and it's kind of cheating. It's still their most popular song. There's like an irony to it, right? It's like look how easy it is to make this hit song. What song did they make that's a hit? It's their 4 chord song. So it's like there's 2 camps. There's like the camp that thinks like that's cheating to use that. It's too simple, it's too formulaic, it's too basic. And then there's the other camp that goes, yeah, but it's also kind of like the evolution of it. Like it's perfect. We do enjoy it. Like there's a part of me that does enjoy a story that has the hero, the bad guy, the anti-hero, like just the real raw basic, like I want my hero to be a good guy. I want my bad guy to be a bad guy.
And that's
What
why
I mean?
Star Wars is so great, especially the
Right.
first trilogy. Is
Right.
there are such clearly defined. Luke and Han are the good guys.
Right.
Vader's the bad guy.
Right.
Let's fight each other in space.
So what? So it's formulaic and it's so cliche and it's so cheesy, but if it's done well, it's the best version of a story.
Right. Well, that's kind of like what I was getting at. Is I don't know how I should feel about it because part of me is like,
I'm completely on the 4 chord side. I like the magic of it. Like, yes, do this and do it right. We know how to do it. Just do it right.
right, and that's the other part of me is like, oh, this is why episode 1 sucks so bad because he didn't follow the outline.
Right. I just thought back and watched that in like the last few years.
We talked about that last time.
Last
And
week.
no, yeah.
It's that bad. That's how bad it is. It's still on my
It's
mind.
so
That's
bad.
how bad it is. Go back and rewatch it. I've almost finished Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm almost like completing my nerd. Like you got these collections of few things that you have to do as a nerd.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't climb that hill.
Oh, you're talking about the book with like Umbridge in it or whatever, where that one chick she's so annoying and it takes forever to get any.
Yeah.
That book was one of the worst books I've ever had to deal with. I was like, oh, this is miserable. Oh, this is completely miserable. My mom's like, yeah, it is, but at least once you get past it, it's not as bad.
Yeah, I was so like, I didn't even get that. I didn't even get the part where she shows up. Like I was done early in book 5. I was so done. I was just like, shut up, woman. I've seen these movies already. I don't need to go through this. These aren't that great. And the internet kills me, in my sleep tonight. But they're not that great.
They're not.
Go to hell.
Yeah, if you've read Dresden Files, like I think if I had read Harry Potter first, it would have been awesome to me, and then I could have gone to Dresden Files and been like, oh, this is even better. But now that I've read the Dresden Files, and then I'm trying to go to Harry Potter, you're dealing with magic. Magic's like one of the coolest things ever, and it's so cheesy in the Harry Potter.
It really is.
It's so cheesy.
The thing I love about the Dresden universe is how practical. Like it feels,
Real.
the magic feels real. Like if I tried hard enough.
Yes, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I can do that. And there's enough elements of like the rest of the universe or the rest of the world's version of magic. It's like, oh, you just need a little bit of this, and this kind of magic works, and that kind of magic. I love that about, and it's so well described.
Oh yeah.
That he's holding it all together, and that he's using a little bit of his will and a little bit of his
Like fear
concentration and all the other elements that are part of it. Like there's like this magic code of magic that he knows. Where in like the Harry Potter universe, it's like whoever waves their wand first and says Spelliamos. That's not even a word. Like, that doesn't even make stupefy. What? The battles are so ridiculous in like the Harry Potter universe, and they come off as ridiculous. Whereas if you've read the Dresden Files, the battles seem fucking awesome. It's shields and raw kinetic energy and a fire and
We said that when you got done reading the Dresden, we are gonna have like a super special Dresden Files.
gotta do it.
We gotta do it because the missus wants in.
Let's do it. Let's
Because like,
schedule that for within the next 2 weeks. Let's get it done. Next Sunday we'll do a special episode of the podcast and talk about Dresden Files or a week, whatever. We'll get it done.
we'll get it done, but I think it needs to not be on a Sunday so we can go on for like 3 hours because it'll be a 3 hour cast.
Yeah,
It'll be put out. We also need to put out as in addition to the normal cast and not just the cast because who knows? Like it's gonna be so spoilerific.
Right, spoilerific.
Oh, spoilerific.
I'm so excited to talk about it now. I gotta go back and like read a few.
I know, me too. Have you seen his new book? He's coming out with a new book in like 3 months. Not Dresden book, but a whole new series. It's like this weird steampunk series.
Okay, I'm in. I love his writing style.
I do too.
One of those people who likes to prove that if you're a craftsmith with words, you can write almost anything.
Yes, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. If you haven't, I mean, we've mentioned them a lot, but if you have not read the Dresden Files or listened to the Dresden Files, go do it. I suggest listening to them because James Marster, who, for those out there, he plays Spike in Buffy, does a great job, and they're like it is so fun to listen to him getting better.
First few recordings, yeah.
Oh, and then
book, it's got such a what?
It's very noir, but then you get to like changes, like that one. You'll probably know that one scene in Changes. When they're in Mexico, and he's and you're just sitting there. Like I remember listening to it. I'm like at my desk. I'm like, I might have to get up and go cry outside right now. Like it was so powerful. It was
I just stopped walking. I just stopped and I just stood there and I just listened to it. I'm in the middle of doing something and I just stopped doing my job and I listened for like 5 minutes. And I remember live texting Jacob. I'm like, they're dead? Like, are they dead, or is there like some weird? And he's like, no, I think they're dead. They're still dead so far where I know. I'm like, oh my god, they're dead. He's like, just keep reading. We gotta talk about it. I'm like, no, everything's going to hell. It's like, it's such an epic.
Oh yes.
I hated that book.
I
hated that book. I loved everything about the Dresden Files before Changes. And then Changes, there's so much that changes. And I'm like, no, I want to go back.
You didn't expect it from the fucking title.
I know, but I didn't expect that. Like, everything.
Everything changes.
Everything. I hated it. And I hate where we're stuck now. We got to stop talking about it. But anyway.
Yeah, we do.
Did you get into Armada at all?
A little bit.
No, we've been talking about Ready Player One. The writer of that, Robert Klein?
Ernest Klein.
He released a new book called Armada.
A little bit, but again, like I said, with everything else, I only have so much brain power, and hopefully I can get into it. Actually, I may just. That's why I may just listen to it on the way to and from Gen Con. I don't know.
That might work.
Yeah,
it's a good time to do it.
Because it's like 12 hours?
11:50 something,
Yeah, so I haven't had a chance yet. Like I said, my brain is just shot most days.
I'm really, really interested to talk to you about it after you get done.
Okay.
I don't know, I'd be interested.
And also, like, I'm trying to prepare for this Dota tournament, and so you will all be able to watch my games live casted and on YouTube. In the next month or two, because me and the missus are playing in a Dota tournament.
Really?
Yeah. There's this podcast we listen to, and they're hosting a listener tournament.
Nice.
And so, the thing is, they're getting casters, like, call the game like pros do, for all the games.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they'll be up on YouTube and everything. But
you're gonna link them for sure, then.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it'll be fun. We're gonna get crushed. But I'm looking forward to it because there's some guys that are way better.
Yeah.
Well, there's way better than we are. I've been playing a lot longer because I've only been playing Dota for like a year.
Hours.
750.
750. So
750.
you're just now starting to get a hang of it, really.
Uh,
Like really, kind of like you're comfortable. Like you're not a newbie at any way at all anymore.
I've got enough characters I can play that given the lineup I can play solidly, and I'm starting to get more of the nuances of the builds. Yeah, yeah. I mean that's the problem with MOBAs in general is like it just takes so much time to get
The
into.
investments, the investment to be like at good level, you need the ability plus about 1,500 hours. Some people can put 1,500 hours and still suck.
Yeah.
But I mean, to really be like where you're, really crushing and a good player and consistently winning, it's about 1,500 hours and the ability to do it.
I'm interested to play this tournament just because it'll be the first time I've really done like a true 5v5. Because normally it's like me and my wife and like a friend loading into a pub. So
Right, right.
so I'm really interested to see how that works compared to that kind of play.
Well,
So,
I'm looking forward to it. You're gonna
yeah,
link it.
yeah.
What's this up?
Oh no, I think I'm about done. You about done?
We haven't done my recommends.
Oh, that's right. We got recommends. I'm
I got a
sorry.
good one.
Oh, I'm interested.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cheesy and cheap, but you would love it. It's awesome. It's on Steam, and it's called One Finger Death Punch. It's one of those like $3,
Right.
like
Uh-huh.
flashlight games, right? But imagine like early '80s, late '70s, kung fu, hyper stylized kind of, Bruce Lee like movie, right?
Right.
Stick figures. Okay,
Nice.
so the stick figures. You got all these, like old school kung fu weapons, like nunchucks and like the little sword thing with the hook, and you got like a staff, and you got swords, and you're also like a kick-ass like, karate master by yourself, so like kicking and punching, right?
Right.
The game mechanics has two buttons. The left the left mouse and the right mouse. Okay? And near your character to the right is like a little bar, and to your left there's a little bar. And if the enemy's in that bar, it's highlighted. Okay, so like that bar will light up red, and if
And
it's
he's
highlighted,
clicking.
you can click on it, that direction. So
Uh-huh.
it'll go that way and hit them. And each enemy will have like just one, or maybe two or three like hits it requires. So you gotta like hit, right?
Right.
But some of the enemies will be like hit, and then it has an arrow and it goes to the left. So it's like hit, and then he switches to the other side. And you gotta go two rights and then a left to kill one enemy. And you're being constantly attacked by all of these, so you're having to like time like I'll stack all these guys to the right, then clear them, because each time you attack, you kind of like move down the screen a little bit. So you kind of move, and you're picking up weapons. And then some of the people that you fight, like they're called brawlers. Like so, when you get in a fist fight with them, it's a back and forth. So you got to go right, left, right, right, left, right, and the whole time your little stick figure dude is having like this slow motion like kung fu battle, blocking for each click or punching for each click, and then you win. And trust me, if you don't just go straight buy it right now because you don't trust me that much, at least add it to your wish list, and Steam will notify you when it goes on sale. And it's one of those games that goes on sale like every 6 weeks. So just get on that game. It is a blast, and it's huge. I've been playing it for a few days, and I still haven't gotten to the end that lets me unlock the harder levels. Like I'm still
Nice.
playing on novice. It's a great game.
Speaking of gaming, when
Yep.
King's Quest drops, I'm going to either do a Let's Play on YouTube or actually just stream on Twitch for 42, and we're going to
Awesome.
play King's Quest.
Cool.
Looking
Maybe
forward
I can
to.
like Skype with you.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out a way so we can actually play it together.
No, you just play, and I'll just sit here and talk shit.
All right, but I don't
Go
want you to
click
be
on that.
because if you're watching, I'll figure out a way so you can watch it in real time. Is what I'm saying. Because if you're watching on Twitch, it's a bit delayed.
No, you could screen cap it probably, right?
Probably, but we'll have to
Anyway,
figure it
we'll
out.
figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure
Yeah,
it
that'll
out.
be fun.
So that's coming. That's coming. I'm so looking forward to that
Look
game.
forward to that.
So looking forward to that game.
We should do that on more games.
We should. We should. But time.
We got no brain power and no time.
Yeah, but gaming is fun.
Right.
But what we need to do is we need to get my wife to play a game for us, so we can just hear her curse all the time.
Let's do it. I'm in. We gotta trick her into it.
I'll
They're like,
figure
hey,
it out.
Ryan's gonna pick up Dota. He's gonna play a few games with us. Just like, he's like, why do you have the microphone out? It's like, shh, shh, just so I can talk to Ryan better. You got it set up in the middle of with like a boom mic and shit like, hung over her head. She's like, do I need to talk to Ryan?
Yes.
Like, no, you just need to talk. All right, man. Well, you want to call it here?
Yeah. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again for coming to the 25th episode of the 42 podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
Bye.
Bye.